Okay, I note that it is 3:01, and I will call to order this April 5, 2022 meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority. This meeting is being conducted remotely on the Zoom video conference platform pursuant to Substitute House Bill 51. I ask that all persons remain on mute unless called upon to speak. Will all persons please rise if you're able and recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will the secretary please call the roll of the board members?
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Present.
Mr. Lumpkin, Mr. Corrado,
Present.
Mr. Fullenkamp,
Present.
Ms. Hairston,
Present.
Ms. Hurd,
Present.
Ms. Howard,
Present.
Ms. Matthews Stinson,
Here.
Mr. Weckesser.
Here.
We have 8 of 9 present.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The roll having been called, the chair declares that a quorum is present. The bylaws of the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority require that, prior to a meeting of the Board of Trustees, the board approve the agenda for the meeting. Prior to today's meeting, a copy of today's meeting agenda was provided to all board members for review. Does the executive director or any board member have any requested changes, additions, or corrections to, or objections to approval of the agenda?
Dave, we will have the new business item under the section of new business, which is on the agenda but not listed.
Okay. And that's the new business item 1, administrative employee compensation guide.
That is correct.
So with the addition of that item to the new business portion of the agenda, does any board member have any other correction or addition or objection to approval of the agenda? Hearing none, the chair will declare the agenda approved as presented and amended. Also, prior to today's meeting, the minutes of the March 1st, 2022 board meeting were provided to all board members for review. Does any board member request a reading of the minutes, have any changes or corrections to, or have any objections to the approval of the minutes as presented? Hearing none, the chair will declare the minutes of the March 1st, 2022 board meeting approved as presented. That takes us on to committee reports. First up is Finance and Personnel Committee, Ms. Matthews Stinson.
Good afternoon. The Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committees held a meeting on March 15th, and as a result, the Finance Personnel Committee is recommending 2 action items for the board's consideration. Action item number 2, janitorial services. The purpose of this procurement is to obtain the most qualified contractor to handle the janitorial duties at the Right Stop Plaza and the 4 transit centers. Greater Dayton RTA's responsibility is to maintain a neat, clean, and safe environment for all customers, staff, and vendors. The services provided in this contract enables RTA to meet the public responsibility. This project is consistent with RTA's core values of safety and stewardship. During these times of COVID-19, the importance of disinfecting all surfaces and maintaining an orderly, sanitary, and secure environment are a top priority. This procurement will be funded from operating funds. Mr. O'Malley presented this action item at our meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package. Staff is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve a contract award to Alpha and Omega Building Services for janitorial services for 5 base years and 2 option years. Year 1, $383,500. Year 2, $383,500. Year 3, $391,170. Year 4, $391,170. Year 5, $398,993 for a total of $1,948,333. And option year 1 at $406,973, and option year 2 for $415,113, totaling $822,086, plus a 20% contingency of $554,084 to cover any potential COVID supplies and our services and price increases for supplies for a grand total of $3,324,503.
A motion has been properly made. Is there a second?
This is Sharon Hairston. I second.
Second by Ms. Hairston. Is there any further discussion or questions by any of the board members? Hearing none, I will ask for the secretary to call the roll on the motion.
Yes, Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Mr. Fullenkamp,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Abstain.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stinson,
Abstain.
Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
I have 6 yeses and 2 abstentions.
Thank you. The motion having been properly made and seconded and presented to the board for full review, the motion carries with 6 votes and the action item is approved.
Action item number 3, engine parts. The purchase of engine parts is a routine procurement. The engine parts are used daily by the maintenance department to ensure the proper maintenance of the fleet. As the engines are comprised of hundreds of parts, too numerous to list individual for bid purposes, the bidders are asked to bid a percentage of discount on the part manufacturer's published price schedule. As the parts manufacturer issues new national price lists, they will supersede the currently used list. However, the same plus or minus factor will apply. Funds for engine parts are included in the maintenance operating budget. Mr. O'Malley presented this item at our meeting, and the supporting documents are included in today's board package. Staff is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Hearing no questions, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve a contract award to Cummins, Inc., doing business as Cummins Sales and Service for engine parts in the grand total amount of $1,548,400. This covers 3 base years and 2 option years. Actual expenditures will vary based on usage.
Okay, motion has been made. Do I have a second?
This is Al Follenkamp. I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Matthews Stenson, second by Mr. Fullenkamp. Any further discussion or questions from the board? Hearing none, I will ask the secretary to call the roll on the motion.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Mr. Fullenkamp,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stenson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
We have 8 yeses.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Motion having been properly made and seconded and presented to the board for review, and it carries by 8 votes. The motion is carried and the action item approved.
Other items to mention. At our meeting, Ms. Stanforth provided information regarding the February 2022 financial reports. Passenger fares are down $289,000 year to date as compared to the budget due to COVID and service impacts. Sales tax represents the total of January and February budgeted amounts. Total revenues are $2.1 million under budget year to date, mostly due to lower assistance from state and federal governments. Total expenses are $3.2 million under budget year to date. Employee wages and fringe benefits, contract services, and materials and supplies were the major contributors. RTA's year-to-date service gain after deducting the local capital charge is $553,000. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will now move to our planning committee. Ms. Howard.
Yes, good afternoon. The Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committees met for a jointly held meeting on March 15th. And as a result, the Planning Committee is recommending one action item for the board's consideration. Action item number 4, Office 365. Mr. Tim Harrington explained that the purpose of this procurement is to contract with a vendor for an Office 365 enterprise licensing agreement to move to Microsoft Office 365 for its Office Productivity Suite. Microsoft Office 2013 with Exchange 2016 is currently being run by the agency. Microsoft has designated these platforms as end of life. Therefore, these systems need to be upgraded. Moving to Office 365 makes sense for the RTA as it is cloud-based and will keep the agency on the most modern version of Microsoft Office. Moving to Office 365 will also provide RTA with the needed tools instead of requiring that it be piecemeal together with other expensive solutions. To complete the project, additional services are also needed. Integration and data migration services at an estimated $56,000, Unitrends spanning backup licensing agreement at $23,000, and employee training at an estimated $14,000. These services will be awarded to other vendors under small purchasing procedures. Based on the recommendation of the Planning Committee, I move to award a contract to Insight in the amount of $166,914 for the purchase of a 3-year Office 365 licensing agreement. This procurement is part of the operating budget.
Thank you, Ms.
Tom
Howard.
Weckesser, I'll second that.
I'm sorry, was that you, Tom?
Yes.
Motion properly made by Ms. Howard, seconded by Mr. Weckesser. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll for the vote on the pending motion.
Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Mr. Fullenkamp,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stinson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
We have 8 in agreement.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Motion having been properly made, seconded, and presented to the board for its review, and the vote having been made, the motion has carried and the action item is approved.
I have no additional items to bring before the board. That concludes my update, and I am available if you have any questions.
Thank you, Sharon. That takes us to the Chief Executive Officer's report. Bob?
Yes, just a few updates here as we continue to come out of COVID and or learn to live with COVID across the country. RTA has been holding public hearings to get some feedback on many of the parts of our What Drives You plan that we've been incorporating into what we're going to do as we try to grow services back as we begin to recover. We hope the federal mask mandate will be lifted on April 18th when it expires. That was not lifted last time when most of the COVID restrictions were lifted, so we're hopeful that that will be lifted this time. I hope you all saw the Dayton Daily News article on Monday. We made the front page. It was a very nice picture of our bus, and we're hiring, so I was very happy to see that. I thought the article was fair and balanced. That reporter usually does a very nice job of being fair. You know, you can't sugarcoat certain things. So we have had a lot of staff challenges over the past couple of months where we're having admin and maintenance folks leave us for other opportunities. A few of those are retirements. And we are struggling to replace those positions or even attract applicants. So there'll be a new business item to help us with that. And I wanted to announce that we've updated our driver pay scale and our maintenance pay scale with the expiration of our contract on Sunday and no request to continue it while we negotiate. We feel we're safe to raise wages to what we feel is a more fair level. And that means the starting pay for a CDL driver will now be $18 versus $16.55. And the starting pay for a non-CDL driver will be $15.75 versus $14.48. These are much more competitive with our peer systems. I did share some information with you guys earlier. I'm going to hold back on any other comments until the affected employees have received their mailings and get all the details directly, because I don't want rumors and innuendos driving this process. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Bob. Anything further for Bob from the board? Hearing none, that moves us into any old business. There's none on the agenda. I don't believe I've got any. Anybody from on the board? Okay, let's move on to new business. And I think the only item of new business is the new agenda item. So Bob, I'll turn that again back over to you.
Did all the board members get a copy of this? I can have Brandon screen share it if you would like. Well, look at Mr. Tech. He's already in there.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yes. Let's just go to the second page to start, Brandon. The purpose of this new business item is to try to attract more applicants to RTA. Every year on an annual basis, we present to the board a suggested change to our salary ranges. These are for the non-represented jobs at RTA. So back in November, I believe it was, we proposed a 2% increase to the grades, and the board graciously approved that. We're learning that that's not enough to attract people. So we're proposing an additional 6% change to the grades. I did take an opportunity to list most of the jobs where they fall so you can have an idea where they fall. This does not mean anybody gets an automatic raise. This just means the pay ranges are going to adjust, and most of our employees will already be within the new range, but it will allow us to advertise higher starting pays to perhaps attract more people. I'm not really sure this will be enough, but at this point, we need every tool in a toolkit that we can develop to attract talent. It's interesting when people apply and you talk to them, it's not all about money. But to even get them to apply, it is all about money. So it's kind of odd. So I would hope that the board would support the recommendation to change the pay bands for an additional time in 2022 as proposed.
Okay, that's the suggestion. I will go ahead and make the motion that the board approve new business item, action item number 1, the adoption of the administrative employee compensation guide as presented.
This is Adrian. I will second the motion.
A motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion, questions, or comments?
Yes, Dave, this is Al Follenkamp. Just
Yes,
a
Al.
quick question with regards to this, this change's overall impact to the budget. I mean, this adds, can you quantify it? Because
It won't add anything to the budget unless I pay people I hire more at this point, because it doesn't change anybody's current pay. It just gives more room for people to grow and more opportunity for me to advertise a higher rate. Typically, when we post a job, we advertise the minimum to the midpoint. And the dollars just aren't enough to attract the talent we're looking for. We can hire above midpoint, but that requires my approval. We're not even getting people to apply and say, hey, I've got all this experience, you should pay me above midpoint. So this will give us more flexibility. I can't quantify how this might impact the budget. I can tell you that we are in a very good budgetary position because of our lower levels of service. Of course, we're saving a lot of budget dollars. So we have a lot of room in the budget, but I don't certainly believe in just throwing money at a problem. So that's not the intent here. It's just a tool to help us attract better applicants.
great, thank you very much.
Is it safe to assume that if we have anyone that's paid below the new minimum, that their pay will be adjusted?
Generally speaking, we look at those on a case-by-case basis, but we generally do that. I don't know that we're going to have very many people impacted, but we will again look at those on a case-by-case basis. If it's somebody who's doing a bang-up job for us, we probably will take them to the minimum for an equity issue. But if it's somebody who's on probation or not performing, we certainly would not do that.
Any further questions or comments? Thank you, Brandon. You can take that down now. I will ask Secretary to call the roll on the pending motion.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Mr. Follenkamp,
Yes,
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stinson,
Yes.
Mr. Weckesser.
yes.
We have 8 in agreement.
All right, motion having been properly made, seconded, presented to the board for its review, and vote having been made, the motion carries and the action item is approved. Any more new business? Now we're on to public comment. Other than Mr. Henry, is there anybody else who has signed up for public comment today?
We had Mary Miller call in earlier, but I do not see her on the Zoom call, so I will assume she will not be making a public comment.
And is the phone number I see down here, is that Mr. Henry?
That is.
Okay. Well, then I will, to make this official, find my little script. Anyone wishing to address the board must speak on their own behalf. After you are recognized to speak, please unmute, state your name and address, and after doing so, you'll have 3 minutes to make your comments. When 30 seconds remain, the secretary will say 30 seconds, When 3 minutes are up, the secretary will say stop, and you must mute yourself. With those guidelines, Mr. Henry, you are on.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I really have some comments about some of the service changes that were mentioned in that Dayton Daily News article that you mentioned earlier. One of them was to discontinue service on 2 of the trolley lines, in particular routes 3 and route 5. Now, my understanding is that the RTA gets money for fixed guideway service, and it seems that by discontinuing the service on those trolley lines, that would reduce the amount of money that they receive from the federal government. Also, there was a comment that there was problems with staffing. Now, I personally am on several county boards here in Clark County. Incidentally, my address is 11405 Lower Valley Pike, Midway, Ohio. I'm on several county boards, and one of them is the West Central Ohio Port Authority, which operates 94 miles of railroad in 5 Ohio counties. A problem had came up with one of our contractors because they were short on staff. However, in order to maintain service, they have to have the staff since they're considered a commie carrier, and under Federal Railroad Administration regulations, they have to provide service. And despite the problems with staffing, they were forced to hire additional people in order to maintain that service. Couldn't discontinue it without federal approval. So I'm merely commenting that this problem has come up in other industries, like the problems with RTA, but the problems can be overcome. I have one other comment. Listening to the hourly rates that you mentioned earlier, I do have a contract at Wright-Patterson, and for one labor category, I'm paying $116.20 an hour.
30 seconds remaining.
Okay, well that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you. Your comments are always greatly appreciated. Your expertise and experience have proven invaluable to this board over the many, many years that you have continued to remain interested and engaged with us. So thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
There being no other person having signed up for public comment, we move on to board member comments and announcements. And I have none. I already expressed my congratulations to Mr. Lumpkin, to those undefeated 5th, 6th grade Trotwood girls basketball team. All I told him was, watch out, South Carolina. Here comes Trotwood. So, anybody else? Vince?
No, I have no comment.
Adrian?
No comment.
Belinda?
No comments.
Sharon Howard?
The only thing I want to add is I just want to congratulate the staff. Like most businesses the last 2 years, I just think the staff has done an incredible job having to pivot almost daily as we navigated through the pandemic. And I just wanted to publicly say that.
Thank you, Sharon.
Ditto. Sharon Hairston?
Ditto Sharon Howard's comment, and I have no further comments.
Al?
No further comments.
And Tom?
I agree with both Sharons. Thank you to the staff, and no further comments.
Very good. Okay, I thank the board. Do we have a request for executive session?
We do not, Dave.
Okay. With that said then, there being no, is there any other business to come before this board in this meeting? Hearing none and there being no further business, are there any objections to the adjournment of this meeting at this time? Hearing none, I will take Adrian's wave as a wave of goodbye, not as an objection to adjournment. Hearing none, the chair will declare this meeting adjourned. However, I will declare that our next joint committee meeting date is April 19. The next investment advisory committee meeting is April 21. And our next board meeting is May 3rd. And stay tuned for more with regards to continuing the Zoom format. And but for right now, that's what we're doing. Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Everyone have a pleasant remainder of your afternoon and evening.